You down to cook, chill?
Yeah, let's cook.
Let's
Because it's
cook right
crazy too.
now.
Because you and me just had a conversation earlier today too, and you was talking to me about Jabbar in '73. So I went and did some homework, and you are exactly right. I went and did some homework, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, what happened in that series? Because I looked at Jabbar, I looked at what Jabbar had done throughout his career, and I sometimes I got to go back and I gotta go do some homework on some stuff because I might have forgotten some stuff. Because so, for example, like when he got to the Lakers, when he first got to the Lakers and they didn't make the playoffs, you know, a lot of people talk about the fact that they didn't make the playoffs. Well, up before they got Magic, every team that they lost to was either in the NBA Finals or won the NBA championship, right? So, with that being said, for them to win 60 games, not just win 60 games, Dub, dominate Golden State the entire season. They went 5-0 against them, served Golden State the entire season. They didn't lose one game against them, and not just go 5-0. They destroyed Golden State. I think they won by average margin of like 10 a game. They dominated them, and to lose in the first round, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, what happened here with Jabbar? Because that team was just in the NBA Finals 2 years before that. Not only were they in the NBA Finals 2 years before that, they was in the NBA Finals the next year. The next year they was in the NBA Finals. So what happened? Jabbar clearly underperformed in that series. Of all the series that he played in, he clearly underperformed in that series of all of them.
So I was trying to figure that out too. So I was trying to see if Kareem was getting hurt, like if he was battling through an injury or something like that. But I couldn't really find anything on that. So in my mind frame, nobody was missing games. It was fully healthy unit. Kareem appearing to be healthy. In my head, the main thing I get on Kareem for is the fact that I know that if this was a LeBron or if this was an MJ, they would bring this up. They would bring this up and crucify them for it. So in my mind, when people try to have him in this GOAT talk, but then they don't bring up stuff like this, but I know that they will bring it up for other guys. Well, I just think that lacks consistency, in my opinion.
Well, it's going to lack consistency, and the reason why is because everybody has their own biases, right? So that's what makes the quote-unquote argument, not just with Jabbar, that's what makes these arguments so legit, because you can poke holes in my logic. I can poke holes in your logic because there are some biases on some level. I can't imagine that Cleveland Cavaliers team in 2009 that won 66 games getting bounced in round one. Like, how would we be talking about James if they got bounced in round? He won the MVP that year too, by the way. If they got bounced in round one, how are we talking about him? Or the next year when they won 61 games and he won the league MVP and they got bounced in round one, how are we talking about James? We talking about him way different. Like the 2011, I'm not sure if the 2011 fiasco even happens, because I think we having a completely different conversation, and I think we seeing a different LeBron James. Why do I say that? Because like you talk about what happened with Jabbar when he hit it from on the surface, it looked like he just underperformed because Oscar Robertson did work, right? That I think they had 5 or 6 guys averaging in double figures. So with that being said, it looked like he just completely underperformed. So the next year, I mean, he went 34-16 in the playoffs. So that's what I'm thinking. If James ends up getting bounced in round one after they win 66 games, I don't think we having that 2011 fiasco, simply because I think we're looking at a different player.
Oh, I see what you mean. When you underperform like that, it inspires you to not have that same type of feeling and not do that ever again.
I think we're looking at somebody completely different than what we just saw. I can't do that again. Hell no.
Yeah, I see your point with that. That's not a bad point to have. It's just like I said before, no, you said, oh yeah, when Dub called Kareem a fraud, it just blew my fuse. Like I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, in my mind frame, like people try to have him in this GOAT conversation. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know how he has a valid case. There's a lot of lows, and even in his highs, I mean, there was times where he was winning when Magic was the best guy, you know?
Well, here's the thing that we got to remember too. We got to remember that when you're talking about an all-time great, every last one of these dudes has flaws, and they got big time flaws. Like, it's not like everybody just had, like, for example, we had a conversation, when we had this conversation about how I praise losing. And then you brought up a really good point, which I can expand on that. The fact that we celebrate, I celebrate losing. Well, wait a minute. You know, this dude was in the league for 15 years. He wasn't in the NBA finals 15 straight years. right? Not only was he not in the NBA Finals 15 straight years, he didn't win 15 years, right? So same logic with James. James been in the league 20 years. He wasn't in the NBA Finals 20 years, and he didn't win 20 years. Same thing with Magic. These guys weren't. They were losing more than they were winning, and because of that, the way that they were losing, it was in dramatic fashion. And they got a lot of holes in each of their arguments, right? So, like, a lot of people don't talk about tragic Magic in 1984 and how bad he was in the playoff, in the NBA Finals. Like, if that happened today, he would get crucified for that. Mm-hmm. He would absolutely get roasted. We don't talk a lot about, Larry Bird. They won the NBA championship in 81. In 82, they were down 3-1, and they end up losing to Philadelphia. The next year against Milwaukee, they get swept out of the playoffs in the semifinals. And Bird completely underperforms, right? So a lot of these guys have holes in their. A lot of these guys have big time holes in their logic. Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem had a stretch in his prime where he didn't make the playoffs, not once, twice. So I mean, a lot of these dudes have stuff like this. So it's not like Jabbar gets overlooked. I mean, Jabbar has more highs than lows, but the problem is that the lows that he has, they're pretty significant.
Yeah, so that's why, in my opinion, when a guy who has that many significant lows and his highs aren't higher than a MJ, isn't higher as a LeBron, in my opinion, it's like, how are we going to put him in this category of guys? MJ and LeBron are the peak of the peak. They're the closest things to perfection, which we have in NBA history, right?
Right.
So it's like, if Kareem lows is worse, and his highs isn't as great, why is he in this conversation?
But his highs are great. That's the thing.
It's not greater. It's not greater. It's not on the same level as MJ and LeBron, though.
I don't know if that's true, though. Dub. I mean, he did win the Finals MVP at age 38. Nobody in NBA history can say that they did that. Nobody else can say that they did that. But he did have one of the best stretches in NBA history, where he went 30 and 15 for 8 straight years. Chamberlain, the only other dude who could say he did that. Can't nobody else say that they did that except him. I mean, when he retired, he was the all-time shot block leader. Forget points. He was the all-time shot block leader in NBA history when he retired. So
he's great.
Rim protector.
My bad. He's great. Don't get me wrong, he is. But like, comparing to MJ, the defense, the offense, the scoring, LeBron, the dude just became the leading scorer.
Right.
And then he's top 10 in assists as well. The stats, the numbers, the shot blocking, the finals, I'm comparing them all together. I'm like,
right,
Kareem, you getting the short end of the stick every single time.
Well, if you look at this guy's overall performance, right? If you look at what he did over the course of his career, I can't just go off of what you did in the NBA Finals. I can't do that, because there are plenty. Because if we're going to do that, then I got to start talking like that about dudes like Sam Jones. Sam Jones, he was a starter on 10 championship teams and I averaged 19 a game. That's a big deal. Like, I wasn't just a good player. I averaged 19 a game, and I was an all-pro and a starter on 10 straight championship teams. So I got to start talking about Havlicek like that, right? I think Havlicek is the top 20 player all time. But I got to start talking about these dudes if I'm only going off of championships. But championships are a huge part of your resume, but it's not the only part of your resume. It's a lot of other stuff that these guys did that's significantly better than others. I mean, again, Jabbar did win 6 league MVPs. 5 of them was when the players were voting. So we don't have a media bias here. 5 of those is when the players were voting for
him. All of them were, because they stopped after 1980, and that was the last time he won MVP.
Right. So all 6 of that's when players were voting. I thought it was 5 of them. I thought in 79, 80 was when the media started voting. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But with that being said, he's got significant highs. Like I said, he retired as the all-time shot block leader. His resume overall as a basketball player is the best not in NBA history, in basketball history. He was a winner on every level, not just in the NBA, not just in college, in high school as well. So he was a winner on every level, and he won in significant fashion, in dramatic fashion. So Jabbar is arguably the best basketball player in terms of his resume, not just in history, but not just in NBA history, but in basketball history. No question about that.
Yeah, we could just agree to disagree. It's all right. We touch on that real quick. We are going to start off, man. And one of the first topics we're going to have for today, I'm sorry for all you guys expecting Bobby here, but Bobby has some duties he had to take care of. So I'm gonna take over for him, bro. Get chilling with chill, nothing too crazy.
Dub is the super sub. What we talking about here? Dub is the super
Me?
six man. Yes, Dub is the
Hey,
super sub, no doubt.
I'm John Havlicek, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so you said you had John Havlicek top 20. I want to ask you that. Like, who is he over?
Who is John Havlicek over?
Mhm.
Let's see. Who do I have John Havlicek over? I got him over Dwyane Wade. I got him over Stockton. I got him over David Robinson. I got him over Scottie Pippen. I got him over Kawhi Leonard. I got him over Charles Barkley. I got him over Isaiah Thomas. Let's see. Who else? Who am I leaving?
Is he over Kevin Garnett?
Yes, I got him over Garnett. In fact, I got them literally like right behind. No, I don't. That's not true. I don't. I got Garnett at 19. I got him at 20. I do have him over Dirk Nowitzki though. Yes, I do.
So you gave everybody knows your top 10 list where Kobe's at 11. So who's the 12 through?
So
20?
James Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel, Bryant, Curry, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Moses Malone, KD, Karl Malone, Doc, KD, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett, John Havlicek.
Dang. So Havlicek's better than Harden, he's better than D Wade, Allen Iverson, all of those guys.
Iverson. I'm just having a difficult time. Again, there's separators, right? There's things that I have on my resume that you don't have on your resume, and I don't just look at it from a player-to-player perspective. I do look at what you produced, and I do look at how you were as a player too. I can't just look at accolades, because if I just looked at accolades, then all them Boston Celtics dudes is top 20 players of all time. If I did that, but I can't just look at you as a player too, because again, I've mentioned this to you in the past, Doug. There's been better players who have gotten outplayed by lesser players. So I can't just go off of that right there. So it's a combination of the two. And when I go off of what this guy did as opposed to what this guy did with what he had. So Havlicek being an 8-time All-League defender, I mean, that's a big deal. That means I played on both sides of the basketball. When Havlicek retired, there was only 6 dudes in NBA history that scored more points than him. So he was elite on both sides of the basketball for a long time. I think he averaged 20, 22, 23 a game for his career. So it wasn't like he was just was a good scorer. He was elite for his time. And he was good in the playoffs also. So he came up big in the clutch. Now, a lot of people see the black and white and they see it being in the 60s, and we can't even go off that. But if we're gonna do that, then the same thing has to happen, or the same thing is going to happen 20 years from now when Kobe Bryant's no longer talked about, because he's been 35, 40 years removed from the NBA, and people are going to be talking about him like, that was 40 years ago. That was 50 years ago. And you guys are going to go nuts when you hear that. I'm telling you, guys are going to lose your mind.
Yeah, I'm open for the new generation, man. I love seeing that, though.
I do too.
My last question about that is Jerry West and John Havlicek. You had Jerry West under John Havlicek or over?
I had Jerry West higher than John Havlicek.
Higher. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I did.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into some current talks. We talked about the old heads enough. We don't have to dive into that. Like you said, it's like 30, 40 years ago. We're done. We're done with that. But the MVP race is one of the topics we're going to talk about today. Is one of the topics of the video, man. How do you feel about this? It's been a good topic going on recently, man. How you feel about this MVP talks right now?
It's dope, Dub. And the reason why it's dope is because there's not a clear-cut guy. And it's been like that the entire season. Like, we haven't had one guy where we're like, this guy is the league MVP, and it's not a question. Well, it's been this guy is the league MVP at this point, and then it's this guy is the league MVP at this point, and then it's this guy. So the race has been as close as it's been in such a long time, right? That I'm thinking to myself, I can't remember the last time the MVP race has been this close with these many guys. And when you are that close in the MVP race, and I think I mentioned this earlier today when we were talking on the panel, when you are that close in the MVP race, availability is paramount. Like, I gotta play, because we talking 1 or 2 games that I could miss, and that could be the deciding factor in whether or not I win the league MVP. So for Joker to miss the last 3 games, not only for him to miss the last 3 games, for them to get blown out last night in Houston, that might eliminate him. That might now separate both Giannis and Joel Embiid from him, even though I thought there was a stretch where he was the favorite. And I felt like he was the favorite simply because of what he was doing with what he had. Now, I'm not gonna discount having great players. I'm not gonna do that, right? One of the main reasons why you're awesome is because the dudes that you're running with. So when I think about what Giannis is running with, as awesome as Giannis, as awesome as those players are around him, Giannis is awesome too. And Giannis would probably be doing the same thing if he was in Washington. He would probably be doing the same thing if he was in Atlanta. So him being on that Milwaukee Bucks team, I think that enhances him, but I'm not sure that the MVP race is over.
Okay, and I know you said it on the show before, but so you can say here, who is your MVP?
I had Giannis before the season started, and that's where I'm going.
Sticking with Giannis?
Yep, I had Giannis before the season started, and that's where I'm going. And
would you be upset if Joel Embiid won it or Jokic won it? It's more like whoever out of those three, whoever wins it, they just win it.
I thought that Joker was going to win it. There was a stretch where I had Joker winning it, and I had him winning it simply because what he was doing and how consistently he was doing it. But what Joel Embiid and Giannis have separated themselves from him this late in the season simply because of availability. I think that they've separated themselves. Joel Embiid, what he's been doing has been fantastic, right? But when I think about just a couple of days ago when him and Giannis went head to head, that's why I'm having a difficult time with the logic that this thing is over. Like, wait a minute. He just saw him 2 days ago and he went 31-14 against him and they served Philadelphia. So I'm not sure that this thing is over. Nah.
Really? So even though, let me see, Embiid has how many, like 3 or 2 games left?
3 games left.
So if he sits out all of those 3 games, is that going to shift your opinion?
It would, considering how close it is, because I don't think he has it locked up. I still think it's a neck and neck race. So if he were to sit out these next 3 games and Giannis goes off, or like Giannis continues to do what he's been doing, I think that that's going to sway voters, and I think that that's going to make people look at there's already the not the soft tag, but the inconsistent availability logic on Joel Embiid. So if he were to almost not bow out, but if he was not to play these last 3 games, you would definitely see some people screw facing Embiid and starting to go the other way with him simply because of availability. It wouldn't be because of his performance.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. So we talked about the MVPs enough throughout the whole season, man. Ticket in the Jokic versus Embiid, and Giannis is getting disrespected.
Yeah.
Taken away from his legacy. We're going to shift more into current news and what's going on right now. The NCAA tournament happened, and then the championship game. Angel Reese was taunting and trash talking Caitlin Clark. So causing a lot of buzz in the media right now. So what are your thoughts on that? Well,
the thing that's bothering me, Dub, is that it's taken away from how good that LSU team was, right? Well, number one, trash talking is part of the game. And anybody that's ever played or anybody that's ever watched at a high level, they know that that's part of the game. The best players, they trash talk each other because it's a psychological edge to get on somebody. Now, I can appreciate Angel Reese having the feelings that she had for Caitlin Clark, considering what Caitlin Clark did in the game before that against South Carolina, where she basically was waving off this girl, telling her she's with us. And this is the number 1 team in the country that they're going up against. This isn't a good team. This is South Carolina that's 36-0 that they're going up against. And she's basically waving off one of their best players, like, she's with us. Don't worry about her. So for Angel Reese to come back and perform the way she performed in that national championship, and to basically give it back to Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, didn't have a problem with it because she respects the game and she respects that it's competition. I didn't have a problem with that. But what the biggest problem I have with is that they've taken away from how good that LSU team is. They only had 2 losses this year, dog. And not only did they only have 2 losses, one of them was to South Carolina, who, when they ran up on South Carolina, they had won 24 straight games. They were the number 2 team in the country. South Carolina handled them, but they were the number 2 team in the country. Then they proceeded to win 11 of their next 12 games and just basically housed everybody else. So that was a damn good LSU team that I saw, and I don't want to get wrapped up in what Angel Reese did to make it look like, well, okay, she's a bad girl, or she's not much of a sportsman. No, let's get back on the fact that this LSU team was a damn good team. I want to make sure that we preface that.
So my good friend Bama, I don't know if you know Bama, he's a great guy. We was actually talking about this last night, and what he talked about was what the WNBA could do. They could market the hell out of this, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like Larry Bird and Magic when they was coming up with that little rivalry, this getting all this marketing and publicity, it carrying over to the WNBA, where they could really market the hell out of this and make this thing big and this little rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And that's what I'm here for. Like you said before, trash talk is a part of the game, right? And a lot of people trying to get at Angel Reese for trash talking. It's kind of weird for me, especially with Caitlin Clark talking trash the way she does. Like, they both do it. So you open that door, right? If you're a trash talker, you open that door for people to talk trash back, right? The Memphis Grizzlies, for example. If the Memphis Grizzlies lose in the playoffs and whoever beats them starts taunting them, ain't nobody going to feel bad. Ain't nobody going to care about that. They're going to be like, that's what you get for talking crap. So you got to apply the same level of energy, man. Angel Reese, she want to put her name out there, you know? She want to put her name out there. And, you know, I love it.
And on top of that, they're in the same grade, because like you just mentioned about the WNBA being able to promote this. They're in the same grade. So they're coming back next year. Both are seniors next year. So we might see them again. And with seeing them again, we could enhance this by, this is what it's going to look like on the next level when they get to the WNBA, like a Bird and Magic, where these two are just going at each other on the regular. But it's in good taste. It's not disrespectful. And when I say not disrespectful, it's not crass or anything like that. Nah, it's real legit competition, and it's real legit trash talking. So I could definitely get with that, no doubt.
That would, you know how many people will watch that game?
Yes.
If
I might even be inclined to go. Forget watching it. I might be inclined to go to it. Let's go see these chicks, man. Let's go see these girls. Let's go see what they really about.
Yeah, that's why I say like stuff like this is stuff like this is good, man. It's good for the sport. It's good for NCAA. It's good for women's basketball because it puts people on the map, man. It creates something that, we got to see this. Is Caitlin Clark going to sit here and talk trash? How she's going to respond? Like, all of this is good, bro. So I love it. I can't wait till next season. And chill. I don't watch women's NCAA basketball like that. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I want to see this rivalry.
Right. And also too, real quick, like, we taken away from the fact that, Caitlin Clark is a baller. She is super nice. Same thing with Angel Reese. Like, let's take the taunting off the table. Angel Reese is awesome. She's arguably the best player in the SEC. I know that Aaliyah Boston was the player of the year in the SEC. Angel Reese might be the best player in the SEC. Caitlin Clark is the best player in the country. So this kind of stuff just it's not like it's just two players just talking. That's they're all right. No, these two women are awesome.
Yeah, man. So I can't wait, bro. And I love the fact that both of the players have no animosity towards each other. It's on the court, it's in the game, and it's all basketball, bro.
Yeah.
We're gonna transition to our next topic about the playoff race right now.
Yeah.
Which one you want to start off with? Do you want to start off with the Eastern Conference or Western Conference?
We could go with the East.
East. All right. So how do you think the East is gonna shape around in the play-in? What's gonna happen throughout the playoffs? Who could possibly get upset? What do you know? Let me know about that.
I don't really see any upsets. A potential upset, like if the playoffs started today, right, and Miami had to see Boston, that could potentially be an upset. And the reason why is I don't know what it is, though. And I
hate Boston. Everybody hates Boston. I don't know.
No, I'm a big Jason Tatum guy. Anybody knows me knows I love Jason Tatum. But I have to accept the fact that playoff buckets is a real thing, kind of like playoff Rondo. Playoff buckets is a real thing. And when the playoff starts, not only him, the rest of them turn into that. And they feed off of his energy. When you got a guy like Jimmy Butler, who is basically telling you, I don't have enough heart for me. I got enough heart for you, and the rest of y'all in here. I just need you to roll with me. When you get that kind of leader, then it's almost impossible to break that. So when I think about the Miami Heat and I think about the Boston Celtics, and I think about how not just how hard Jimmy Butler goes, the problems that they could give Boston, right? Not just on the perimeter, but in transition, the trouble that they could give Boston defensively. I think that they could give them a lot of trouble. Now, when we're talking about the top heavy teams like Milwaukee, I mean, I'm having a difficult time with that Milwaukee machine. I mean, I think that they have arguably the best rotation in the game. They got the best player in the game. They have arguably the best perimeter defender in the game, the best rotation player in the game. So I'm thinking about Milwaukee. I'm thinking that it's difficult, especially for a lower level team, to even compete with them. Now, when I think about the one team that two teams that surprised me, the Knicks and Cleveland, that's going to be a battle. I'm really feeling that Knicks. I'm really feeling that Knicks.
Don't do it to me, man. Don't do it to me.
I'm not trying to get you on the hook, dog. I'm not trying to get you on the hook, dog. Because I'm not one of these New York people that's gassing. Yo, we won an NBA championship. Easy. I'm not doing that. What I am saying though is I think that they match up with Cleveland really well. Even though Cleveland's got a young team, I think they match up with them well. I think the separator though with Cleveland is the front court, with both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen for a 7-game series. I think they ultimately wear the Knicks front line down. I think you're going to get what you're going to get from Jalen Brunson. I think you're going to get what you're going to get from Julius Randle, both in the half court and transition. If he can keep his cool, and he's got to play better too, because if you remember what happened the last time, he stunk in the playoffs when they just played against Atlanta 2 years ago. He wasn't very good. So with that being said, I think you're going to see a different Julius Randle. But that's a series that I think could be a 6-7 game dogfight, no doubt about it.
Nah, I can't agree with you, man. The Knicks, in my head, I look at Julius Randle matching up against Evan Mobley.
Yep.
And you love Evan Mobley. Like, he's a great defender. So I'm like, in my head, that's not a great matchup for him. A guy that doesn't get separation like that, Evan Mobley could stick on him, put his hands up, put him in tough shot scenarios. In my mind frame, I'm like, Julius Randle ain't going to be – when they play Cleveland, I'm expecting another egg. I'm expecting another egg by Julius Randle.
So you got Cleveland shutting the door on them.
Off of Jalen Brunson, I'll give him 5. That's it.
Well, the thing that I'm thinking about is I can't say that it's ridiculous for you to say that, considering I think Cleveland got the best defense in the league. I think Evan Mobley is the defensive player of the year. And you could show it by going up against a guy like Julius Randle, right? You could show it by going up against a guy like Julius Randle and slowing him down. But overall, that New York Knicks team, with how gritty they are, how they defend, how they play in transition, I dig Grimes. Grimes looks to me like he could be a better version of John Starks, to be honest with you. When I watch him, how he gets up and down the floor, his ability to shoot the long ball, his ability to defend, I think he could be a better version of John Starks. But I just think that front line for Cleveland, ultimately, I think that's the difference. And I think that they just wear the Knicks down.
You haven't even brought up Donovan Mitchell, though, in all of
I didn't. And the reason why I didn't bring up Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell goes without saying. He's the guy that legitimized them. Right. So before Donovan Mitchell gets on Cleveland, I had Cleveland as arguably a top 5 seed. So when Donovan Mitchell gets on that crew, he now solidifies them as a top 5 seed. That's how they ended up with the number 4 spots, because they already had an all-star guard in Garland, right? They already had, your elite defender and both Jared Allen and Mobley, who were both getting better. And you also had a D3 guy in Okoro who has been up and down, but these guys are young. And what they needed a vet presence and maybe an elite defender. So when they get Donovan Mitchell, he legitimizes them with playoff experience, not just with playoff experience, with playoff performances. So now they've been in the play-in. Now they get this guy in Donovan Mitchell, who's an elite playoff performer. So now that legitimizes them. So I think that the reason why I didn't mention him is because when you look at his game, I think he goes without saying. And I think that he's going to do what he does. I'm thinking about what's going to be the separator that's going to push this thing over the top. And I think it's the front court for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Man, you're putting too much faith in the Knicks, man. I'm not even going to lie. I can't.
So you got Cleveland serving them.
I think they match up perfectly against them. Julius Randle's not going to be able to get off. They're going to have to rely on Jalen Brunson more to bail them out, which is why I said Jalen Brunson, off of Jalen Brunson alone, I think they could get it done. But I don't think the Knicks have an answer for Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they have an answer for Darius Garland. And if Evan Mobley's on in a night, I don't think they have an answer for him either. The Cleveland Cavaliers and their defense is gonna be able to slow those guys down. In my opinion, it's not going to be that difficult for them to do it. But I do want to ask you this question about an upset. So you're not worried if Miami goes up against Milwaukee Bucks?
I'm not.
Wow.
The reason why I'm not, and I'm a big Jason Tatum guy. I think that he's right outside the top 5, but he's woven into that unit. Like when I look at Giannis is looking at buckets. Like, I ain't scared of you. And I don't need these dudes. If it comes down to my best player against your best player, I am going to outplay you. You are not going to outplay me. Not you. I'm not saying that Steph Curry wouldn't. I'm not saying that Jokic wouldn't. I'm not saying that Embiid wouldn't. You're not outplaying me. No, not you. Absolutely not.
Oh, man. Even though that throughout their history of the time, the Bucks have been struggling with them, though?
They have been struggling with them. So if you remember in the bubble, Giannis got hurt and they ended up losing. So then the next year, Milwaukee sweeps them out of the playoffs. Straight swept them out of the playoffs. Now, we could get a rematch this year and we could settle it in the aspect that you think that us sweeping them was a fluke. That Milwaukee team is better today than what they were when they won the NBA championship. I'd like to think that Miami team, I don't think that they're as good as they were back then. I think that Milwaukee team is better now. And not only are they better, I think that they're more poised. I think that they're tougher. And to out-tough the Miami Heat, I think that's saying a lot. But I think Milwaukee could do
it. Real quick, what are your thoughts about Atlanta? Because I had a lot of high expectations for them, but they kind of let me down. I expected them to be a 5-6 seed. So what are your thoughts about them? They're 8 seed right now, battling to be in a play. I mean, they're locked in the play now, but all season now long, they've been underperforming. So what are your thoughts on them real quick before we go to the West?
I think that's exactly what it is. The fact that they've underperformed. Trae Young takes a lot of bad shots. He gets them off rhythm a lot. And I can't understate the fact that John Collins being in trade rumors for the last 2 years has affected his performance. And it's affected his game a lot. So because that's affected his game, that's affected them. And Griffin coming off the bench, Griffin coming off the bench, pushing him. He's been better. But the overall, that unit, I thought Murray and Trae Young were going to be a lot better together, but they just haven't. They just haven't. I think that they're a first round exit more than any. If they get out of the play-in tournament, I think that they're a first round exit.
No problem. We'll transition to the West now, man. We got Denver leading it, Memphis in second, Sacramento in third. The Lakers, like we talked about before, tonight with a win on the Clippers, put them at that 6th spot. So I want to hear what are your thoughts in the play-in? Can Dallas make it in? And just how do you think the West is going to go in the playoffs as well?
Well, first of all, Dallas, I think they're out. And the reason why I think they're out is because of what they had to give up to get Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is not the problem. Kyrie Irving is still doing what he was doing in Dallas, what he was doing in Brooklyn. So his game travels. That ain't the problem. The problem that we have in Dallas is that they gave up 2 of their best perimeter defenders. And now they have no perimeter defense. Not only do they not have any perimeter defense, they don't rebound nearly as much as they should. Their rotation is now off. And it looks to me like they're just trying to just outscore everybody. Well, in the Western Conference, that's not going to work. Because you got other teams in the Western Conference. We have what you have. You got a 30-a-game guy. Well, Phoenix has a 30-a-game guy. In fact, they got 2 of them, right? You got guys who can run the score up. Golden State scored 135 last night against Oklahoma City. So we can score with the best of them. I don't think that's the problem. The problem that we have in Dallas is that they don't defend, and because they don't defend, that's where your problem is. And I think that's going to sink them. I mean, I think they are like 5 and 11 since they got Kyrie Irving. I think they're like 5 or 6 games under 500 since they made that trade. And they've been
8 and 16. They've been 8 and 16 since February 6th or something like that.
Giving up before the Kyrie Irving trade, they were giving up 111. That was good for 5th in the league. They're giving up 117. That's in the bottom 10 now. So their defense has clearly been affected. I don't think Dallas is making the playoffs. I had them as a play-in team before the season started. I don't think that they're making the playoffs. I don't.
I love the fact that you said it's not Kyrie Irving's fault. And a lot of people are trying to point the finger at somebody to blame, right?
Right.
On Open Gym yesterday, somebody said, get Jason Kidd fired. And I told him, I said, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, the setup he has right now, like you said before, they were they were outside of playing in the playoffs before the trade deadline. What happened? Kyrie gets out. Now it's kind of hard to put a rotation in with a good offense and good defense because you literally have nobody left. So I'm just want to understand your point of view. Are you blaming anybody for this, or like who do you blame for this?
Well, it's two things. Number one, they went to get Kyrie Irving, but they went to get him the wrong way, right? So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put another scorer to take the load off of Luka. They're trying to get another scorer to take the load off of Luka because he was so responsible for everybody else's offense during that time before they got Kyrie Irving. So if we could get Kyrie Irving in here and we could get a guy who Luka can just go to for buckets, it would work perfectly. And it would work perfectly, except we wouldn't have to, if we didn't have to give up the defense that we gave up. If they were able to keep the defense, I think this thing works fine. So it was almost a win-win, but the way that they constructed this team, that's the biggest problem. And I would love to see Luka defend a little bit more than he has, which, to be honest with you, I think it's an effort thing more than it's anything because his coach was an all-league defender for almost a decade, and he can't get him to defend. And what you're not going to do, sir, is you're not going to sell me the logic that I've been playing basketball for almost 3 years and 3 years straight. And in the process of me playing basketball for 3 years straight, it's hard to play on both sides of the basketball. No, it's not. In fact, shouldn't that be able to enhance your defense because you played on the other side, because you played that long? No, let me go work on my defense. Let me go work on being a better defender, as opposed to I'm just going to focus solely on this. Maybe you could take the load off yourself as an offensive player if you focus more on defense. If you did that, but he's not doing that. So, but at least what he's doing is, and he said this, he said, I do have to be a better defender. I like the fact that he's recognizing that he does need to be a better defender.
You don't think that some people just can't play defense?
No, I don't.
Seriously.
The reason why I don't feel like that, Dub, is because I can teach you footwork, right? I can teach you on the line, up the line. I can teach you how to get around screens. I can teach you all of these things. At the end of the day, defense is one thing, and one thing is as much skill as it goes into playing defense. One of the main things that goes into defense is effort. Drop your ass, get your feet busy, get your hands moving. That's defense. And Luka is one of the worst transition defensive players that I've ever seen. I catch him jogging back on defense when the other team is in transition and they got the ball. Not sometimes, a lot of times I see him doing that. When he's one-on-one with a guy, he doesn't even make an attempt to recover when he gets beat. Not even once. What he's doing is he's basically shadowing a guy this way, and then all Luka wants to do is get back to the basketball. That's not going to get it done as a defender. That's all effort right there. That has nothing to do with skill. That's effort.
I hear you with that part where Luka does like effort. But when I see Trae Young this year, I think he's been given some effort. Stephen Curry, when he was on Golden State Warriors, gave a lot of effort. They just wasn't good. Like, they just weren't good defenders because they were just athletically incapable. So at least the way I picture, I think effort is a big part of that.
Right.
But athleticism is also just as important. If you're not quick enough on your feet, if you're not strong enough, I mean, it's kind of hard for people to, be a great defender that way.
But this is what I also could do though, Dub. I don't necessarily have to be a great individual defender. Larry Bird was not a great individual defender. Larry Bird was a good individual defender. He was a great team defender though. So his ability to dig in the paint when the big man got the ball, his ability to cut off passing lanes, stuff like that when he was playing off ball. Those are things that are significant when you playing defense. Now, one-on-one, okay, I might be a little bit deficient. But those other things, you can do that as a team defender. And I don't see Luka doing that.
Got you. For the casuals in the chat, Chris Paul, I think, is shorter than Stephen Curry, and he was still a good defender because he had a lot more strength than Stephen Curry. So, for all you guys in the chat. So what's it called? We talked about Dallas. Do you want to talk about anything else in the Western Conference and the playoffs and the play-in and how things are going to shape out?
I think we could with the Western Conference. Like I said, Dub, I still think that, and Mars disagrees with me. Because the Western Conference is so wide open, I still think the Warriors are the team to beat. I do, and I think Denver is the team that has the best opportunity to dethrone them. I do.
Okay, cool, got you. Dame, this one question I want to ask you too. Damian Lillard,
Mhm.
you know, he just played his last game in Portland, and I'm wondering, is this it for him? Is he done in Portland after this game?
I don't think he wants to be, but I think it could be best for both parties if he is. But it's kind of a double-edged sword here. So if he ends up leaving and he gets with a crew and they end up winning the NBA championship, you're going to hear, well, he had to go to Philadelphia. He had to go to Atlanta, and he needed this guy in order to win. But if he stays in Portland, you're going to hear, well, he couldn't win by himself. So it's kind of a damn if you do, damn if you don't. So with Damian Lillard, I mean, he's going down in history as arguably the best player in Portland Trailblazer history, right there with Clyde Drexler. He's arguably a top 3 guard of his generation. I think it's him, Curry. I think it's him, Curry, and Paul. So in terms of his career, I think he's one of the best to ever do it. But when I think about what's going on in Portland, they've gotten younger, and them building around him moving forward. I mean, he'll be 33 years old this summer. I mean, how many more years you think Damian Lillard got at this level? I think he's got 2, maybe. I think he's got 2-3 more years tops at this level before he slows down. So I don't see the benefit outside of ticket sales and TV revenue, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, it is a business, but I don't see the benefit in holding on to him, because y'all ain't really serious about winning if you holding on to him when you're building around him with guys like Jeremy Grant. Nah, y'all ain't serious.
Oh, Jeremy Grant's not bad, but I see your point.
I'm not saying that Jeremy Grant is whack. No, I'm not. I want to make sure that we clear. I don't think Jeremy Grant is whack. I think Jeremy Grant is a fine player. But if we serious about winning it and our play is Jeremy Grant, no, we ain't serious.
Got you.
No,
I feel you. Super chat from Travis Weems, man. How do we feel about Wigs coming back into the Warriors fold? Also, where does Wigs rank in terms of perimeter defenders in today's game?
It's crazy, Dub, that you had mentioned earlier about recency bias. How about 2 years ago? Were we even talking about Wigs as a perimeter defender?
No, not a lot of people were.
Now all of a sudden, like, Wigs is a lock ass defender where he just locking up everybody. Like, wait a minute. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's on a really he does defend, and he should be a good defender. But where was this 5 years ago when he was in Minnesota? Where was this 4 years ago when he was in Minnesota? But I do think that he's going to help, because now he gives them that perimeter defender that they didn't have, and them working him back into the lineup, he's going to give them scoring too. So I think he's going to help them, no doubt.
Yeah, just people wasn't paying attention to Wiggins like that. He's been playing defense for about ever since he's gone to Golden State Warriors. He's been getting better and better on defense. In 2021, he was actually a great defender, but nobody talked about it at all. They just gave Stephen Curry all the credit for winning all those games in that run. You remember that?
Would it be because he was held to a higher standard? Like, who in Minnesota was holding him accountable for that? Nobody. He was the man. It was him and Cat, but he was the man. When he gets to Golden State, Draymond, Klay Thompson, Steph, these guys are demanding, like, yo, you got to defend, B. You have to. And they held him to that. So I think we've seen a different Andrew Wiggins, no doubt.
And like you said before, who you're surrounded around, right? Now he's on a team where he could showcase that better. Where, I mean, Timberwolves, like, come on, you had Karl-Anthony Towns next to you. Like, what are we gonna do with that?
Right.
No. Baby boy reacts. There's not 15 players better at basketball than KD. Unk tripping.
See, and that's the problem that we have, my man. You keep saying it's not just about being better at basketball. That's not enough. And the reason why I say that to you is because if you remember, just last season alone, is Kevin Durant a better basketball player than Jason Tatum? I'd like to think he is. Jason Tatum outplayed him last year in the playoffs. So the logic that a guy is better at basketball, that's not enough. LeBron James is a better basketball player than Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki clearly outplayed him in the NBA Finals. So the fact that you're better at basketball, that's just not enough. No.
Cool. Zay in the clutch. If AD played maybe 70 games, could he have a case to be an MVP?
Yeah, I think he could have. Yes, especially considering where the Lakers are now. I think he could have. No doubt about that. I think he's going to be an All-NBA performer this year, and I think he's going to make the All-League defensive team too.
Cool. The Paige, I don't know how to say that.
Bueckers.
Bueckers. Bueckers' disrespect is real, man.
No, it isn't. No, it is not. No, there is no Paige disrespect. She is awesome. She just tore up her knee. Everybody knows how awesome she is. And when she gets back on that UConn team next year, they're going to be right back in the middle of it. Right back in the middle. They were in the Sweet 16 this year without her, and I think their second best player tore up her knee too. So when they get those two back next year, we're going to have a completely different conversation about UConn. They'll be right back in the fold.
Got you. Alan R with his super chat. What do you think about the Lakers zeitgeist right now?
I'm not sure if I know what zeitgeist means. I think you might have stumped me with that one.
So on Player's Choice, literally right after the panel, me and Mars was on the show, and somebody sent us a super chat about zeitgeist. So we looked it up. Zeitgeist means a trend, and we're not saying it correctly. It's really pronounced zeitgeist, but since that's how we said it the first time, we're gonna keep it like that.
Right.
So it's basically the Lakers trend. How do you feel about the Lakers trend right now? Zeitgeist.
I don't think it's a trend, to be honest with you. It's been health more than anything. So if AD and James are healthy, they're a top 5, top 6 seed if those guys are healthy the majority of the season. So what they're doing isn't it's not out of the ordinary. What happened is that those two guys were in and out of the lineup. The fact that they now running the offense through Anthony Davis like they should have been, the fact that he's healthy, you see what's going on. I don't think this is a trend. I don't.
Fire. Messi, please stop referring to Dinwiddie as a good defender. Dorian Finney-Smith was the only good defender they gave up. Mavs need a good big because Powell is garbage. I don't think Powell's a starting center on an NBA playoff team. But Dinwiddie is a solid defender, so we could kill that logic. That's not true. Yes, he was. He was a solid. He's not an all-league defender, and he wasn't to the level of Mikal Bridges or anybody like that, but he was a solid defender, and he was a good team defender too, so that's not true. That is not true. You don't have a top 5 defense in the league, and you got a whack perimeter defender. You got whack perimeter defenders. No, you don't. It's not true. It's like you said before, like it's just narratives that get spewed for people.
Yeah.
How can Luka be a superstar and not make the playoffs? Why does he get backlash for this? Does he make first team All-NBA? If so?
Well, 2 things. Number one, the backlash is about to start. C-Dub, I started hearing this about, why doesn't Luka get why isn't the same logic for Luka that it was for James Harden? Well, that's because James Harden was doing what James Harden was. Luka hadn't did that up until now. Like all of a sudden we're missing the playoffs. So now you're going to start to hear a different narrative from Luka, right? You're going to start to hear people start talking a different way about Luka. It's already started. The dude doesn't play defense. He's not a leader. And now that stuff is now going to start to get compounded. And I'm trying to remember the last time a guy made first team All-NBA and he did not make the playoffs. That was Jabbar in 75-76 when he won the league MVP. That was the last time.
Yeah. Look at that. Different standards, man. It's like, let's not start this conversation again. How good was Len Bias? Was he better than MJ?
I can't really talk too much about Len Bias, to be honest with you, Dub, because I get a little misty-eyed because he was for real. If you see I was never more excited about a player than I was about Len Bias because I remember Len Bias in Maryland, right? And I remember how good he was and the franchise player that he looked like he was going to be. And the fact that he got on the Boston Celtics when they just won the NBA championship. Bird said that if we draft Lenny, he said this quote, if we draft Lenny, I'm coming to rookie camp. Essentially what that is that's Jordan in 1992 telling the Chicago Bulls, if we draft Shaq, I'm coming to rookie camp. He was the guy that you looked at as a general manager and go, yo, I'm building my unit around him. He was that guy. That's how good he was. Was he better than MJ back then? I'm not going to say he was better than Jordan, but he was right there. It wasn't like this. It was like this. Those two dudes were close.
RIP, man. Salute to him, man.
He was awesome. He was absolutely awesome.
Player of months and weeks tie into MVP voting? ? From Leaf.
I don't know if they do. And the reason why I don't know if they do is because if that's the case, wouldn't they tie into, like, for example, Carmelo Anthony or Diddy, Josh Giddey? I mean, he was rookie of the month 5 times and he didn't win rookie of the year. So I would think that I'm not sure if it does. I do think that they recognize it, but I don't think if it ties into it though. No, I don't think those two things are the same.
I've never heard anybody say just because this guy won more Player of the Weeks or Player of the Month, he's an MVP. I've never heard that in my life.
Right.
Can we talk about Looney's growth as a player?
Yeah, Looney's gotten a lot better since he got to the Golden State Warriors, and he's basically carved out a role with the Golden State Warriors as one of the best 5 men for that unit. Right? He doesn't have to be 20 and 10. No, he knows his job and he does his job to the best of his ability. Yo, these dudes shoot the long ball. They go to me when I'm open around the basket, and that's it. And he's improved in all other ways. Looney could always rebound. He could rebound when he was at UCLA, and he could rebound when he first came into the league, right? So when he came into the league, now he gets on that Warriors team, and he's able to play behind other guys like Bogut, right? Like Lee. Lee was already gone, I'm sorry. But Bogut, when he comes into the league, he's able to play behind these guys and carve out a role for himself, and it's worked really well for him, no doubt.
I thought he was going to be out the league, so salute to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason why you're saying that, Dub, is because like what is the league today, and what does the big man do? The big man stretches the D, right? He plays on the perimeter. He plays at the long ball line. Looney doesn't do any of those things, but it works with Golden State because we got other guys to do that. I could do the dirty work like Draymond does.
Yeah, very surprising, bro. Because he only came into play when they got rid of their depth, when they had KD, Clay, and them boys. So then that's how he really got in there. So I always thought he was like, so he's done, but salute to him, man. Salute to him in his career. Not hoping for injuries, but if any team's top or second player got hurt, what team, if any, could stay afloat for a few games or rounds?
Phoenix. Milwaukee. I mean, if they lost Giannis, I think that they could. I think they could stay afloat, considering who they would have to see in the first round. I think they could stay afloat. Now, I ain't gonna say the first 2 rounds. No, we ain't going that far. No, I'm not going the first 2 rounds. But the first round, I think that they could stay afloat. If Milwaukee lost Giannis, if Phoenix lost KD, I think they could stay afloat. But when we get later on in the playoffs, nah.
If Denver loses Jamal Murray, I think they'll be able to stay afloat. Not Jokic though, but Jamal Murray, I think they'll be able to stay afloat. Shout out Marquez Johnson too.
Marcus Johnson.
Oh, Marcus Johnson.
Yeah, used to play for the Milwaukee Bucks. He was awesome.
Leave Diggy. One more for you, CT. Who votes for Players of the Month and Players of the Week awards?
I think the media does, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I do. I know that the players don't. I think the media votes for the Players of the Week and Players of the Month. I think the media does that.
They 100% do. Yes.
Yeah,
they do. All right, we're gonna get you guys in here. A bunch of you casuals up here, man. Time to open the floodgates. Nice talking, bro. I didn't expect how much time we was talking for.
That's what happens when you're talking basketball and you're talking to somebody that know what they're talking about, as opposed to talking to people that don't know what they're talking about. The time does not fly.
That's facts, man. That's facts. We gotta leave with the super chat.
How many times have you talked to people, Dub, and you hear what they talking about, and you like, whatever, yo. And you think like 20 minutes went by, really only like 2.
Yeah. Wait, you shooting at me right now, the chill time, bro?
I'm always shooting at you because
you always shooting at me because I'm a casual. So I ain't. Okay,
you're not a casual. You're more of a troll than you are casual.
I'm a troll now.
Yeah,
okay.
You're more of a troll than you are casual.
You hear, y'all, Dub? You hearing this? I'm a troll now, man.
Yeah, you're more of a troll. You're more of a troll than you are casual.
I'm a troll, so I ain't getting nothing at you. All right, fine. That's how you feel. That's the energy.
Veneer, chill. What's up?
What's up, brother?
We good, fam.
What's going on with you?
Primo, what up? I'm a troll now, man. So I gotta keep.
What you guys got to say about what we've been talking about so far?
One thing for me, I wanted to speak on the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark thing, and Chilltown was actually right, man. We got to talk more about the game itself, because that was a damn good game that LSU played. Yeah, Angel Reese, even though she only had 15 and 10, she was definitely impacting the game. Their defense and their athleticism was clear light years better than what Iowa was bringing. Yeah. Defensively, they forced Caitlin Clark to play some defense. That was the main.
That's what slowed her up.
Yeah, they slowed her up, even though she had 30s. even though she had 30, she had to play some defense in that game because the what was the girl with the ponytail with the blonde hair? She killed off the bench in the first half, and then Alexis Morris, who nobody talks about, she took over in the second half and closed that game out. So we got to talk more about that.
Nobody
so,
brought that up.
Yeah,
I think LSU was looking at South Carolina, and when Iowa beat them, they looked at Iowa like, "Yo, we ain't losing to them." No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not losing to them.
We got to give LSU some respect, man, because they walked in it, they talked in it, and they walked it before the game. They even said in Chilltown, you might remember this. They was like, "Yo, they can't defend us like that.
No,
they can't do us like that." And mind you, South Carolina won how many games straight? Like 40-something straight.
36-0.
36-0. They won. They was number one in
Carolina
country.
always nice.
You know what I'm saying? So
Caitlin Clark has said that we're not going to defend them like we did South Carolina. We can't defend them like we did South Carolina because they'll destroy us.
Obviously,
which they did.
Yeah, which they did, which they ended up doing. But and as I was trying to make their little runs in the game, I thought Caitlin Clark was out for a little bit too long. The officiating, bro, like people was gonna talk about the officiating, all the fouls that was being called, whatever. I mean, obviously, this is the national championship game, and it was a big game. It's one of the biggest women's games, probably ever.
I think it is.
Yeah, that's one of the
women.
And, I think
college is.
Yeah, and I think that
way
to harp more
interesting.
Yeah, to harp more on the future of women's basketball, it looks very bright, and I think Caitlin Clark has a large part to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because the only person that was doing what she did in at least in the tournaments was probably Steph and Jimma Fredette and a couple of other people that was bombing.
Who I thought about when I watched Caitlin Clark in the tournament, I went back and she reminded me of what Cheryl Swoops was doing. Where only except they had a better team than what they had at Texas Tech. It was Cheryl Swoops and it was everybody else, and she was buckets. They had nobody that could stop her. Nobody.
Didn't her team? They won the national title, right?
They beat Ohio State. She had 48 in that game.
Yeah.
They beat.
They beat Ohio State.
Ohio State team.
Katie Smith.
Yeah, right. Her. I do remember.
And she was nice. Super nice.
Smith was good. Katie Smith was very, very good.
Cheryl Swoops was too much. She was too much.
Like, what's going on?
But chill, I think the black and white issue came when
chilling fam.
Mrs. Biden had offered Angel Reese
to
both of the teams to come to the White House or something like that. I
can't believe that she did
that.
Yeah,
I was just in I was like, no, that didn't happen. And then of course Angel Reese confirmed it because she had an interview with Brandon Marshall on the show. Y'all check that out. She had an interview with Brandon Marshall and she said. Right. Ain't no way if we lost that game, we was getting invited to the White House.
And even if we did get invited, we ain't going. No, I ain't going.
And they declined for
that's praising losing, chill. That is praising losing.
For real.
And they declined for Biden to come in the locker room before the game. They said, "Yo, they said the president want to come in there." And they was like, "Yo, our team said no." Kim Mulkey was in on it. Everybody was in. They was like, "No, because y'all ain't even have us on y'all bracket. Y'all ain't believe in us."
Yeah.
So everybody was saying it's unwanted attention. I'm just getting to the game portion of it. That's all nonsense. The fact of the matter is, Caitlin Clark was the best player in the country, by far. And Angel Reese had a damn good year herself, led the nation in double doubles. You know what I'm saying? So
Caitlin Clark didn't care about it. So
no, she didn't. She took that on the chin. She took that on the chin.
She a beast.
If you're a trash talker, you have no choice but to take
part of the game, That's part of the game. If I'm gonna dish it out, I gotta be able to take it too.
She took that on the chin like a champ, and I don't have no fond words for her, man, because the game of women's basketball is going in a good direction, and she's probably going to lead that. Yeah, and that's a fact.
Somebody got to get the dunking, man. I ain't even gonna lie. That's somebody got to get the coming through the lane.
Somebody got to get the coming through the lane, windmill like on some bitch shit, bro. Like
I just think, honestly though, I disagree though. I just think there just needs to be more drama, right? Like this scenario right here, the drama that's gonna come with this. Like, even though NBA sports, you gotta be real. The entertainment and the drama part of it sells a lot too. Yeah, you know,
it does.
But what was the most?
I'm not a big fan of the extra drama, but I mean, it does actually sell. Excuse me, it does actually sell.
I just
not
think
a
drama
dunk.
sells more, though. I think drama sells more.
It does.
Yes, man.
It does.
Chill. Back in the day, because my father, what I'm saying, he was a big Dr. J fan, and he was the most popular player because of that array of moves he had in the air.
Right.
They could shoot. The females could shoot better than the men. So somebody got to give me something where I could get in there like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
I think what Dub said is right. I think it's the drama. That's what's going to suck you in more. That's what's going to bring you. That's what's going to bring you in. That's definitely what's going to bring you in. So, hey, fellas, it was good to talk to y'all. I appreciate you.
All right, man. I'm going to troll you on your page then, man. Since I'm a troll now.
Oh, man.
I might as well troll you on your page since I'm getting the troll label by the old head, man. Like, yo, let me troll him on his page. The next time you go live, I'm knuckling you down. How about that?
Crazy, man. He's a wild boy, man. Lovely.
Super wild.
Sir. Hello, fellas. How are y'all today?
What up?
Yo, what's good, chill? What up, Dub?
What up, yo? What's going on?
What's good, Breezy? How you feeling, bro? Always fun.
I'm good in the house.
Yeah, always. But I'm not excited to see that the champions was dominated by the 1 seed. When I looked at it, you got 49 for the 1 seed, you got 10 for the 2nd seed, you got 7 for the 3rd seed. I think you got 1 for the 4th seed, no for the 5th seed, 1 for the 6th seed, and 7 and 8th seed never won it. So I've seen a lot of college teams kind of flipping the scene, shaking the scene. There was upsets. And I'm saying as a fan, I want to see more of that in the NBA. And I'm asking Chill, do you think that ever could happen where there would be more balance between winning the NBA championship, between the playoff teams, opposed to the 1 and the 2nd seed, or really the 1 seed dominating? Because that's 49 and the disparity is 39. The 2nd seed's got 10. And the 1st seed got 49. So is there ever going to be tougher competition, or is it just the top team's going to always dominate? In your opinion?
I think the thing we see the most when we see the top teams winning it is because they're healthy. So, for example, when you saw the Miami Heat get bounced by that Knick team and with that 1-8 seed, well, that wasn't an 8 seed Knick team. I mean, they was battling injuries during that 50-game season. That was a damn good Knick team that they should have been really like a 3rd or like a 2nd or 3rd seed. That's how good that Knick team was. The same thing with that Houston Rockets team when they won it in 95 as a 6 seed. They were a 4 seed before they ended up trading for Drex. And not only did they trade for Drex, they kind of went the other way. They were below 500, and then they turned it on in the playoffs. So more than likely, the best teams in the NBA are going to be at the top. And not only are they going to be at the top, I think that they're going to win it simply because in the NBA, I've said this in the past, in the NBA, in pro hockey and in pro baseball, is the only sport that is undisputed heavyweight champs. Because to beat somebody 1 time, that's one thing. When you beat a team 4 times, we better than you. I'm just better than you. So I don't think that you can argue that.
Respect.
Chris, you muted, bro. It's cool. While you getting that sorted, let me read off this super chat. Hey guys, what are we waiting for? Embiid is MVP. Agree?
It's not that cut and dry, my man. It's just not. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's a close race, and if Embiid won, I can hear you now. I wouldn't be surprised if he won it, but I'm not just gonna go, yo, Embiid is the clear-cut MVP. No, not yet. I don't think the MVP race is over.
Got you.
Okay, fair. So I just wanted to switch gears a little bit with Kyrie Irving. I think that the amount of criticism he's getting as a team cancer, I think that criticism is completely unfair, and I don't think it's right. In terms of just him as a basketball player, he's doing everything that he's supposed to do. He's averaging 27, 6 and 5 on some good efficiency, and he's actually really good in the clutch. If you watch him, even going back to the Hawks game prior to that foul, I couldn't blame Kyrie Irving prior to that one little ticky-tack foul on Trae Young. Christian Wood. Yeah. He missed a clutch free throw down the stretch. Same thing with JaVale McGee. Both of them missed 2 crucial free throws that would have won them the game in regulation.
Over. If McGee makes both those free throws, it was 0.4 seconds on the clock. Game's over.
Yes, and then if we also go back just to Luka Doncic. Listen, I love Luka. I think he's going to be an all-time great. But his body language on the floor that I think that is killing the team more than anything, and him not playing
defense.
defense.
See what I'm talking about,
Yes.
Dub? Now we
Listen,
start that.
But listen, I never noticed he was that much of a bad defender. Like, listen, he had a bad turnover. First off, in that game, he had 5 turnovers.
Right.
First off, but he had 1 turnover, I remember, and there was somebody on the side of him, and like you said, he's not a good he's not very good in transition defense. Yeah. He's literally on the side of him, and he's watching him just get the layup. I'm like, Luka, get in front of him, put a body on him, do something. He's literally just watching him, just like James Harden, go right by him and lay the ball up. I'm like, you cannot be a good defender, but there's a certain level of effort you can give on that side of the floor to let your teammates know, like, we're not going down like this. We're in the play-in. We are fighting for our playoff lives right now. Now we've got to be more engaged defensively. Yeah. So,
and it starts with him. Because
he's the leader.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I think he needs to lead by example there. I think they'll be fine once they put some better defensive pieces around. They re-sign Kyrie Irving. I can see that team actually doing something next year.
How far are you going? How far are you going with Kyrie Irving in terms of a contract?
Realistically,
I'm not going that far up. I'm not going.
I'll give him 3. I'll give him 3 or 4.
Too. I do 2 years.
3 or 4.
I'm going 3 years with a team op after 2.
No. So I would say I would do a 2+1 deal. So I give him 2 guaranteed in that 3rd year. By that time
we'll see what it is. We'll see what it is. I'm down to go that far. I'm not going 4 years guaranteed. No way, Dub. Not trying to
you said guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like guaranteed?
Yes.
Yeah, I guarantee him the first 2 years.
I think so. 3 or 4 years is for me, right? 4 was just the max. Only reason, in my opinion, in my mind frame, the only reason I would say 4 as more of a way to convince him, like, because that's the thing they naturally do right now. You need to convince Kyrie to stay. Now, them not being able to if they don't make the play-in right now, that's going to be kind of a stain. It's going to be hard to try to convince him. So in order to try to make up for that, I want to commit to you, and I want to commit to you for the long term. I don't want this just a one and done. I don't want this to be a rental. I believe in you. I believe in what we can bring to this organization, man. And I'm going to show you that I believe in you by offering you that, Yeah. So that's my mind frame, the way I would play it if I was in that position.
But with that being, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Then having Luka and Kyrie, I think that's a great duo. Get some defensive pieces, make some trades, clear up some space so that we could get guys like that. I think that duo, they could do a lot of great things.
With them not making the playoffs, I actually think that it lowers Kyrie Irving's value and it enhances Dallas to sell to him that, we're going to sign you for 3 years. Let us go out and get some defenders to help build around this unit and let us get better, as opposed to him going out on the free agent market. Because if you look at his group, right? If you look at Kyrie Irving just as a player, I don't think that we can argue how good of a player he is. But if you look at his history, what's been going on with Kyrie Irving? Bridge burnt in Cleveland, bridge burnt in Boston, bridge burnt in Brooklyn. So, after a while, we can't keep going off the narrative that it's somebody else, right? So the logic has to be, this guy, how problematic is he, and how much or how far are we willing to go in terms of a contract? So if we go 3 years and go, let us build around you. Let us build around you and Luka. And Kyrie Irving's only 30 years old. I don't think that that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm a gambler, bro, so I'm gonna take the risk. I'll be the one to change. I'll be the one to change a woman. You feel me? Screw it.
Even though she used to mess with you, and you already know, even though she used to mess with you, you know what happened with you, and you saw how it ended with all of us. Right? Hey. You saw how it ended with all of us.
I'm just that guy. I'm built different.
Dub is the dude. Like, I'm gonna take Dub is the dude. I'm gonna change her. Oh my God.
I'm built different, man. I'm built different. Hey, appreciate you guys.
Hey, fellas. Absolutely, fellas.
Thank you.
No problem, fellas. Peace.
Dub need that toxicity. He need that chick. That's a problem. He need her. He don't want her. She is necessary. Bring her. The chick that's going to cook, the chick that's going to be nice.
I can see the potential. I can see the potential. Right here
that's flipping out on you in the mall in front of everybody. Yes, her. That's the one I want. Oh, my God. Killing me.
Oh, man. The Ratchet Girl is the best one, man. What you talking about?
She will. I tell you what she will do though. She got your back when it's about to be on. She definitely do that. She got your back when it's about to be on. So I can't fight that. I can't.
I don't need my girl to fight. She cool. You stay there.
Yeah. Chill out. I got it. Yeah, I got it under control.
Yes, sir.
What up?
What's up, fellas?
What up?
What's up? What's up?
What up?
What going on, man? Hey, chill, man. I got some smoke with you, man. I ain't gonna
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, man, when y'all started the show, man, I think you had said that John Havlicek was in your top 20.
I did say that. Yes, sir.
But then, like, I remember I had asked you about your top 10, and you said that you value big men. And I'm trying to figure out how did John Havlicek fall into that top 20 when you value big men in your top 10 and you got Kobe at 11?
I don't understand.
Well, yeah, well, Kobe being at 11 really ain't got nothing to do with it. But I'm just saying you value big men.
Yes, it do.
So I'm trying to figure out how.
That's why you brought Kobe up. Yes, it do.
Yeah, I still don't talk about that.
Yes,
he don't think it's 20 big men better than John Havlicek.
Oh, you say that again?
One more time for the people in the cheap seats because they ain't hear you. Say it one more time.
I said, Chill don't think it's 20 big men better than John Havlicek. That's simple.
I mean, he ain't got it.
And I value the big man. I do. I value the big man. But I don't think it's 20. I don't think it's 20 big guys. I don't think it's 20 big guys better than Havlicek. No, I don't.
Right. So that's why I started thinking about the other guards and the small forwards and the point guards that are better than John Havlicek. And I remember you said that Dwyane Wade, you had John Havlicek over Dwyane Wade.
I do have John Havlicek over Dwyane Wade.
And when I look at both sides of the ball, I don't see where John Havlicek fall in where he's better than Dwyane Wade.
You mean an 8-time All-League defender? Are you serious?
So he's a better defender than Dwyane Wade.
Not just an 8-time All-League defender, like as a scorer also.
So he's a better scorer than Dwyane Wade.
I think you're looking at Dwyane Wade from an athletic standpoint. I'm looking at Dwyane Wade not just from an athletic standpoint. I'm also looking at what he produced, and I don't think that he was that much better of an athlete than John Havlicek. Not only do I not think he's that much better of an athlete. Now, in terms of scoring, to be that kind of scorer that consistently, no matter who you playing with, right? Not only to be that kind of scorer that consistently, no matter who you playing with, but to do it at that high of a level. Like I told you, John Havlicek, when he retired, it's only 5 dudes in NBA history scored more points than him. That's it. 5 dudes. That matters.
I mean, that does matter, but when we look at Dwyane Wade, like I said, like Dwyane Wade led the league in scoring 1 point. I don't think John Havlicek ever did that. And then when we look at the offensive side of the ball with attacking the basket, I say Dwyane Wade has the edge with that one. And then when I say the mid-range shot, I really didn't watch John Havlicek, so maybe I defer to you when I ask you, how was John Havlicek as
John Havlicek had a money mid-range game. Yes, he did. And not only did he have a really good mid-range game, John Havlicek was good in transition too. I think Wade was a better athlete than him, but John Havlicek was a damn good transition player. Not only was he a damn good transition player, a lot of his offense was created off of his defense as well. A lot of his offense was created off of his defense. His ability to swipe at the basketball and to go after loose balls, right? To get shots off the backboard and go with them. So John Havlicek, a lot of his offense came from defense, but a lot of his offense in the half court, he had a really good mid-range shot, and he was a really good transition player too, no doubt about it. He can get his shot off against anybody.
All right. And then when I look at Dwyane Wade, man, and that's where it kind of gets a little fuzzy because I've seen Dwyane Wade like in the 06. When did John Havlicek have a NBA Finals like Dwyane Wade in 06?
And I believe it was 74. Yeah, I think it was 74 when he won the Finals MVP against Jabbar and that Milwaukee Bucks team. I mean, he went off on them, and he didn't just go off on them. He went off on them the entire series.
He averaged 35. He averaged 35 a game.
Don't get me wrong. He didn't average 35 a game, but he did go off on them. I don't think that that's the separator. I wouldn't go that far as to say that that's the separator. But when you're talking about a guy in Havlicek who did everything that he did for as long as he did it, John Havlicek was a rotation player to start his career. He was making an All-NBA team. To make the All-NBA team as a rotation player. Now, by the way, when you're talking about a league with only 8 teams, you got to see the better competition more. So when I got to see the better competition more, I got to raise my game as opposed to guys like Dwyane Wade, who's playing in the league with 28, 29 teams. And I don't have to see nearly as much competition at that level that often. So for Havlicek to do that as a rotation guy, that's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
All right. So I guess you got
Low wanted to give his input real quick.
Dirk Nowitzki, and you got him over Kevin Garnett. over Charles Barkley.
I don't have him over Kevin Garnett. I do not.
See, that's why I'm getting a little fuzzy because I'm trying to figure out how big is your top 20. Because,
what do you mean? How big is it? I'm trying to make sense of what is it that you're asking me? Because I view basketball different than the way you view basketball. Right. I don't see it the same way you do it. The way you see basketball is you're only going about a player for player. I don't do that. I care about what you produce in addition to what kind of player you were, and I care about the fact that Havlicek was elite on both sides of the ball for a long time. I care about that.
For sure, and that's why I was making the argument for Dwyane Wade. But I'm saying, like, we can line it up because I remember your top 10. And then I remember you had Kobe at 11. So that means we got, 9 more players to go? Yes. And I can really name about 10 players that I named in my top 20 before John Havlicek. That's
name
them. But can you really, though? Can you really?
Name them.
Did you watch enough John Havlicek to say
that? Let's run it.
Name them. Going off of Basketball Reference.
Not off Basketball Reference. Hold on for a second. Go ahead, my man. Name them. Name 10 players better than John Havlicek.
All right, so we got Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Charles Barkley. Let me see, Bob Pettit. Yeah, Bob Pettit over John Havlicek. We got.
It starts getting fuzzy after about 4 or 5.
Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard ain't over John Havlicek.
Did you go again with this is what you're doing? You're going player for player. What about durability? What about longevity? Do you care about that?
Oh wait, Chill. Did you have Steph under John Havlicek or
no? I had Steph over him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had Steph over him.
We got Havlicek at 20, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't remember Steph's name. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
So where was I at now?
You only reached 6. You only reached 6.
Once you get out that top 10, bro, this is all what you like. A
Dwyane
top
Wade,
20, you can't debate somebody whole 20.
Scottie Pippen.
Like, you can't break down a 20 and try to debate it.
Is Scottie Pippen?
I think Scottie Pippen, just like, and I mentioned this in the past, I think Scottie Pippen, just like Steph Curry and John Stockton, I think Steph Curry was a better player than John Stockton. I think John Stockton's a better point guard than Steph Curry. I think that Havlicek was a better player. I think he was a better small forward than Havlicek.
Okay. What about Karl Malone?
I have him ahead of Stock. I have him ahead of Havlicek.
He did. Hey, Max.
Yo, you know I hate this talk, Doug.
What's up, brother? What's up, brother?
These old folks. Hey, yeah. I wanted to know, did you see the video? Well, I think Alexis Morris should have been the outstanding player, but is it player of the Final Four of the whole tournament?
It's the whole tournament. It's the most outstanding player of the tournament. It's not that one game. No, it's not that one game. No, it's not that one game. It's the whole tournament. I was thinking it was just the 2 Final Four games. Yeah. She closed them out. She looked like prime, I don't know who. No, but, she was something else. She was something else.
But if a player followed you around for 30 seconds back in your day, what would have happened?
If a player would have followed me around for 30 you got to do something to get this dude off me. I got to get him in screen action.
At the end of the game, celebrate. Did you not see the video?
It would have been. We would have had words, no doubt about that. We would have had words. It would have been fish. It wouldn't have just been. It wouldn't have just been the end of that. Oh nah. It would have been something else, no doubt about it. You're not gonna get in my face like this and follow me around. Nah, it would have. It might have been fisticuffs. It might.
Yeah, that's the only part I don't like about Angel. The first time she did it at the free throw line, that's celebrate. Yeah. But the time you follow somebody 30 seconds around, that's Pat Bev energy. Yeah. And I don't like that Pat Bev energy.
I can get with that. I can definitely.
And that's why we talking about that instead of the game. That's exactly what happened with Pat Bev. He do that type of stuff, and we start talking about his antics instead of the game.
Yeah.
But no I also got this. We talk about this. For the Lakers to win the championship, LeBron got to shoot at least 40% from 3.
No,
what?
No.
He got got to.
No, they got long ball. They got long ball shooters. They straight in that area.
Not really though.
Austin Reeves can knock down the long ball. Beasley can knock down the long ball. James can knock down the long ball. He doesn't have
to play your best lineup with Vanderbilt and LeBron in there. That's why that's why Vanderbilt only played 18 minutes last night, because the Jazz just left him. Him and LeBron, they just said, y'all shoot. So to play Vanderbilt and LeBron together, LeBron got to be a floor spacer.
They need Beasley to shoot 40 or like D'Lo to shoot 40.
He's got to stretch the defense.
Yeah.
That's who needs to stretch the defense.
But
And the
LeBron,
offense
if
and the offense got to run and the
Go
offense
ahead,
got to
LeBron.
run and the offense got to run through Anthony Davis. It has to.
Mhm.
It has to run through him. And I think giving LeBron James open shots like that, I think that they're going to be able to knock him down. I don't think that's going to be an issue.
All right, fellas, gotta let some other guys up. Appreciate the
Fellas,
time
be
man.
easy.
Hey, Dub, we ain't cool no more either.
Uh-oh. You owe him
he,
some money, dog? Uh-oh.
he getting jealous, man. I don't know why.
Yeah. Dub, me and Dub used to be click tight now. I don't know what happened.
Get out of here. Nah,
Uh-oh.
shout out to Urban Legend, man. Shout out to Urban Legend. Y'all be easy,
Thank
bro.
you. Hey, T.I. the GOAT for everybody in the chat. T.I. is the GOAT.
I could get with that.
Oh man. We was talking about greatest rappers of all time, and he was like, he said, nah, T.I. the GOAT for me, man. Urban Legend the GOAT for me. He got classics on classics.
I mean, I ain't saying T.I. wasn't that dude, because T.I. was that dude, but easy with him being the best ever. Hold on, fam. Chill out.
I know.
You might be too wild with that.
I'm not even sure if he was the best South rapper. So it's like
You can make an argument that Luda was better than him. You can make an argument that dudes like that was better than him. So,
oh man, what's up, fellas?
What up,
yo? I'm sorry.
Hey, Boone, you got something to say because you're outside, so there's a lot of wind I'm picking up.
I got you. Yeah, real quick. It's for Chill. I know you played ball when you was younger. Okay, so my question is, it's hypothetical, but assuming you're in your prime right now, you're 24, you know what I'm saying? You get drafted in this current league right now as it is. What team would you want to be on right now to play your career?
If I'm coming into the league right now, the guys that I'm looking at, Drew Holiday, Marcus Smart, those guys are in. Those are the guys that are the guys that I'm looking at going, all right, I'm going to do that. That's the kind of player that I want to be. I'm not looking at guys like DeMar DeRozan and Jason Tatum. And I'm looking at guys like that because we're around the same size and we got the same build and a similar game. I think I was a little bit better athlete than Drew Holiday. But those are the guys that I'm looking at thinking, all right, if I could survive him, I could play 10, 12 years in this game. And if there's a specific team that I'm looking for, if I'm coming into the game today, I'm 22 years old, I want to play up in Portland. I think they got something going on. I do. With Anthony Simons and that young group, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing up there.
Young Kobe and Damian Lillard. I'm not mad at that.
I wouldn't mind playing up there. I would not. If I was playing today and I was coming into the league, yeah, I would not mind playing up there because they look like they could build something up there.
But you got one more thing to say before because it's too much.
Yeah, real quick. Well, I'm gonna dip out. For you, Dub. I like Chris Paul. You like Chris Paul? A lot of people hate on him because he's old and whatever. Yeah. Is this his last year to get a ring? Is this if he loses this year, do you think it's over for him, or what do you think the Suns should do with him?
They should get out his contract, but it depends on if KD's healthy or not, right? If KD's, if they lose while KD's still playing, I say you can run it back one more year after next season with KD. That's when Suns, y'all gotta do something, get him up out of there, right? You gotta get him up out of there because the contract is too OD, and he's not playing to his contract. You got to get him up out of there. I'm sorry, you have to.
40 million at 39 years old, dog.
He living good. He living good.
He got 2 more years left on that deal, too. It's not just one. It's 2 more years left on that deal. Ugh.
Hey, Boone, you be safe, bro.
Be easy, fam. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
What up?
Hello. What's up?
P5, I saw in chat you said you wanted to have a crazy take, so you can go ahead first.
Yeah, I don't know how crazy it is really, but I'm not sure how if Dub and Chillin' or if the other two follow the NBA draft too much.
I do,
but I think, and I've heard, of course, Victor Wembanyama is going to go number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
I personally think I would take Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson at number 2. Y'all disagree or agree?
Why are you loving Brandon, why are you loving Miller? What's the allure of Miller?
Keeping it on the court because I know he's had some off the court stuff.
I'm off that. That's over.
Yeah, off of
I'm
it.
off that.
I think like in the NBA today, especially, I feel like players like Brandon Miller tend to succeed more and have higher ceilings at the least. Because I'm drafting off of like I don't want to say projecting, but like trying to see how I can develop these players, right? Like Brandon Miller's a guy that at his best could be like a Jason Tatum type player. At his worst, we're looking at Josh Jackson, right? But it's that upside and that ceiling that I love about Brandon Miller. He's an awesome athlete, great, has a smooth looking jump shot, can finish at the rim, great length.
Yep. And
with Scoot Henderson, he's great. I love him as well. He's a great player. But I feel like point guards, as we're moving into, especially when guys like Scoot and Miller actually hit their peaks at like ages 25, 26, 27, which is like 4 or 5 years down the line, right?
Right.
I feel like at that point in the NBA, the best guards aren't going to be players like Scoot Henderson, these smaller 6'2", 6'3" guards that can run the offense, that are really athletic but can't really shoot threes. And I'm assuming that Scoot Henderson's three-point shot won't get a whole lot better than what it is right now.
Why are you assuming that? Why not? Because there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to stretch the defense. None whatsoever.
I mean, Scoot Henderson. I mean, his form's a little flat, but even if I give him the benefit of the doubt, like being a 33, 34, maybe 35% three-point shooter, I feel like Scoot Henderson, especially with his height, defensively, he has a clear ceiling. I think offensively, amongst in the realm of other NBA players, especially with Brandon Miller, I just think the ceiling's a little lower on him. And even though Scoot day one might come in and be the better player, because I think Miller's a little bit of a project. I think long term Miller has the highest ceiling and will be the better player than Scoot Henderson.
All right, that's fair. I dig what I see from Scoot Henderson. He looks like he could possibly be a franchise guard. He kind of got some Russell Westbrook in him, but except he's more controlled, which I really dig about him. He looks like he can be one of the elite defenders in the game, like Marcus Smart or like Drew Holiday, except a better athlete. I really like that about him. He looks like he's a guy that you could build your unit around. And I understand the logic of going with length and athleticism, which that's which way the game is going anyway, right? I could get with that. But if you don't have a lead guard, a guy who can control the offense, a guy who can facilitate and get everybody else involved and can control like when things get out of hand, if you don't have that, you're not going to go that. That's the reason why Boston is what they are. Because Marcus Smart, even though he might be a little bit deficient offensively, he does keep that group balanced. He does keep those guys under control. And you need that kind of guard on your group. And I don't think you're going to be able to find that just anywhere.
I agree. And like I said, I think Scoot's going to grow into being a great player. If I had to compare him to a player, it might be a little bit of a light comparison because of the size again, because this player I'm about to compare him to was bigger, was a bit longer. But play styles, and they kind of had the same weakness out on the perimeter. I'm looking at John Wall. I'm looking at John Wall. Maybe a shorter, less lengthy John Wall, but they can both get to the rim at a very high level. They're both
people don't like John Wall over here, man. People don't like John Wall over here.
Yeah,
man.
I've seen it. I mean, people people tend to forget how great peak John Wall was.
Because he couldn't shoot
really
like
good
that.
Washington.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
But I feel like, and I'm going based on ceilings here. I personally would draft players based on their ceiling and how great I feel like they can be. And I feel like Miller's is just higher than Scoot's. I think Scoot's going to be a great player. I mean, I'm looking at a future top 10 point guard, but I feel like as the NBA progresses and as these newer, like taller, more athletic players are coming in, I feel like the Scoot Hendersons and those kind of true lead guards, I think they're kind of going extinct. They're not going extinct, but they're starting to fade out a little bit.
Sure,
yeah.
I can get with that. Sure.
And I saw the chat bringing up Jason Kidd and Steve Nash. That's a completely different era of basketball. And as we move forward, I don't think.
Well, that part I don't agree with, because the 8 seconds or less offense would be awesome in today's game, and that's basically what the Golden State Warriors did. They took the 8 seconds or less offense and they just enhanced it. It's the same offense, a lot of ball movement, a lot of chaotic activity, and they just enhanced it. Same thing with Steve Nash. He was the primary ball handler. I think Steve Nash would be awesome in today's game.
Indeed.
Awesome.
Got you.
So,
KB, tap in real quick with us, man.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the playoff picture right now. So right now, the way it's looking, Boston and Phoenix or not Boston, Phoenix, Boston and Philadelphia are both locked into a 2-3 seed. Milwaukee's most likely to end up the 1 seed.
Yep.
So just looking at it, assuming Boston and Philadelphia do win their first round matchup, and a potential second round, do you think that Philadelphia has any chance of beating Boston? Because I think going into that series, Boston would be considered the favorite. A lot of people would think they would win 6 games. So, but do you see Philadelphia having any chance of beating?
The only way that they would have a chance in beating them is what you saw yesterday with Embiid. He's going to have to be that good. I think that their rotation, Boston's rotation, is better, and I think that's the difference. And I do think that Doc Rivers could possibly get out coached. I don't think Missoula would out coach him, but I think it's possible he could get out coached. Last night's antics for the last, I mean, they were down 6 with 6 seconds, and they almost lost. They were down 7 with 6 seconds, and they almost lost the game. Something simple as blocking out at the free throw line almost cost them the game. Stuff like that is the stuff that makes the difference in winning and losing. I think the Celtics served them dudes in 5 games, 6 tops.
Right, and then assuming in that scenario they do lose, what major? Because Philadelphia's going to have some major changes to their roster. I mean, Embiid's. I mean, if you look at it, they've been the second round, like they've exited the second round so many times in the past couple of years. They haven't reached a conference finals yet. So, I mean, do you potentially see Embiid wanting to trade out? Do you see, Doc Rivers is most likely to get fired, and do you see James Harden wanting to stay?
That's the only way they move off of Embiid is if he acts out. They're not trading him. If he ends up winning the league MVP, you're not trading the league MVP. That's not happening.
Right, but do you think he would reach that point where he's so dissatisfied with the way that the organization has set him up in these positions where Milwaukee and Boston are going to be that good? They're going to be continued threats, and with the emergence of teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, who maybe they could get to that point where they're one of the best teams in the East, right? I mean, in Philadelphia, they're just stuck in this position where they're good, but they're not good enough to get to the conference finals or finals. So, like, I'm not sure where it could go.
It's 2 things. Number one, if Embiid plays like I think he could play and they beat Boston, well, he wouldn't axe out. But if he asks out, it's going to be because he underperformed.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because I was watching last game, and then it was so outside of Embiid, that whole Sixers team was so bad. It's like he scored more points than the entire team. It was so baffling to see them.
I mean, James Harden did go 20 and 10 last night, but you wouldn't know it though. It was kind of like a real quiet 20 and 10. So
their supporting cast is one of the most overrated in the league. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
All right, brother.
D Reed, you there?
What up?
What's going on, shit? What up?
What up?
There we go.
Bro kind of asked the question already for me, but my first question was how far you think the Cavs going in the playoffs? I
think they're a semifinals team. I do. I think they're a semifinals team this year. I think next year is when they challenge for the Eastern Conference Championship.
What do you think they need to do as far as making the team better? Because I like the Twin Towers with Jared and Evan as far as defensively, but I feel like to maximize the roster as far as with DG, Evan, and Donovan, you need a stretch in there, and you move Evan to the 5. That's how I feel. That's what I feel maximized, the team as a whole.
Which is fair. I do think that that's fair. But if you got a D&3 guy like Okoro, you got a D&3 guy in Okoro. Not only do you have a D&3 guy in Okoro, the front line that you have, I think that's perfect. Then you got guys like Wade in the rotation, right? You got guys like Wade in the rotation who could also stretch the defense. I don't think that this Cavs team needs much else. They're young. Remember, Okoro's 22, Jared Allen 24, Evan Mobley 21, Darius Garland 22. Your core is kids. So I don't think that you're that far away in terms of really challenging for the Eastern Conference Championship. I don't want to do anything to tweak this unit in terms of throwing somebody else on that's going to blow up the dynamic of what we got going on. Because this team looks like they're going to be around for a long time if you're able to keep them together.
Nice Okoro, though.
I hear that.
I feel like he's more of a guard defender as opposed to a big wing defender, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel comfortable with him on a Jason Tatum or a Jalen Brown, but a guard in the East, like a guard in the East, like a Tyrese Maxey or one of those. I feel like
James Harden.
Better. Yeah, right. I think he's better suited for. But as far as like the big wings, I feel like at the trade deadline, we should have went for one of the wings in Toronto, whether it was OG. Past, I feel like that
you would have had to give up something substantial.
The Cavs didn't have enough draft.
I would have gave up Jared and Isaac.
No,
that wouldn't have cut it.
No way. I'm not handing over Jared Allen. No.
Okay.
I'm not trying to hear that.
I feel you on that.
I would say though, like Okoro, you said 3 and D. His 3. He needs to work on his 3. Actually, that's
he
what
does.
Chill. I think that. Go ahead. I'll go ahead and say it because chill. I feel like the Cavs roster is great. I just think I don't think that's a team that'll ever have like substantial depth because of how much money's going on to Allen. They're gonna have to pay Mobley eventually. Garland's contract extension kicks in. Donovan Mitchell's going to get paid a ton of money in a couple of years. So I don't think they're a team that's ever going to get like substantially deep, and they're not going to make a big move unless they're moving one of those guys because they don't.
Well, that's not true. And the reason why I don't buy that logic is because what they've done in terms of drafting guys. I mean, they get Darius Garland. I mean, they can draft that depth as well.
Of course.
In addition to drafting your lead guard, in addition to drafting your best power forward, you can draft the rotation guys. You can find gems like that in the draft, and I think that they can do that. They've been drafting really well, so I'm not buying the whole money thing because they got enough time. I think they got enough time where they can. I think they got enough time where they can draft a D&3 guy or a rotation guy and develop him as opposed to we got to do this right now because we're going to lose these guys. No, they don't have to do that yet.
But for the majority of that time, you're looking at second round picks, and unless you find a way to trade guys for firsts. I mean, the Cavs don't have many first round picks and going forward. I don't think it's as bad as Milwaukee's situation, but they just don't have enough picks to draft those quality players unless they get lucky in the second round.
That's why you do your homework as a GM.
That's asking for great player development. And I'm not going to predict that, but I think the Cavs need that makes them like a perfect team is like a guy like a prime Robert Covington, a guy who can defend. He's versatile. He's a bigger wing, right? Offensively, he spaces out the floor very well, can finish at the rim, attacking closeout somewhat. Like a guy like that is what the Cavs need, and I don't think Isaac Okoro is that. I don't know. I don't like Okoro.
All right, fellas.
Guys.
I want to ask one more question. It's off topic, but in the NBA today, guys that are like 27, 28 years old and under, who do you think we're looking at by the time their career ends? And it's a pure hypothetical. Like we're arguing these guys that are like, are they top 10 players all time, top 15, top 20 all time? Like, what guys do you think those are?
I'm not.
I don't think nobody cracking the top 10 or 20 all time in today's game as of right now.
People right now, you talking about active players right now?
They're like
27 and younger. I don't.
The closest.
Luka top 20.
No.
And remember, I extended.
What about
it to
Giannis?
like
How old is Giannis?
I extended it to like a top.
He's 28. He's 28.
Giannis the only one I can see. Giannis the only one.
That's it.
Giannis, I think Giannis. Well, Giannis, yeah, but Luka. I think Luka has a conversation being in the top 20 if he keeps up on this trajectory. I know you don't like the defense, but in my head is like if Curry's like borderline top 10, Luka could be top 20.
For top 20, for top 20, I'm liking Luka, Giannis, and I mean if Giannis is 28, then Luka and Tatum, but that's who I'm looking at.
Got you. All right, guys. Appreciate the time y'all spent. Yeah, have a good one. All right, fellas.
Easy, fellas.
You too. You guys stay easy too.
Peace. Got 3 more super chats, man. So experience not suspect for LA, not AD/Bron.
So experience not suspect.
So everybody outside of AD and Bron.
Well, that's the thing. Like when you got guys like James and you got guys like AD who had that championship pedigree. I mean, it's hard to challenge that because again, they got enough heart for everybody. So it's not like you need a whole bunch of dudes that are experienced. Now, if you got 2 guys like that, then we'll be just fine.
Got you. Zay in the clutch with another one. Just saw Mark Cuban said he blames Rick Brunson on losing Jalen in free agency. Things went south when the parents got involved. Woj retweeted 100. Any input?
It does have a lot to do with the fact that his father played for the Knicks, so that might help. Add that to the fact that can we be honest for a second, Dub? Dallas didn't want to pay him. They let him walk right out the front door. They didn't want to pay him.
I think so too.
If y'all wanted to pay him, he'd still be in Dallas. That was it.
I think they were willing to pay him, just not the money that the Knicks gave him.
That's it. You didn't want to match the deal. That was it. I don't think it had much to do with his father, and because I think that you would have been able to deal with his father if you would have paid him, because he would have stayed in Dallas if you'd have matched the money that the Knicks was talking about.
Yeah, he would have. Like I said, Jalen Brunson, people was like giving Luka criticism. Nobody wants to say in him. When you get that much, like at that point in time, that was his highest stock. That was his highest value at that moment in time. You go get your money. And that was the offer that they gave him, man. Now,
and I'm not accepting $1 less neither, dog. I'm not.
Exactly. And now, once he plays out this contract, if he keeps this up, he can
They
probably
got
get
him
paid again.
They got him on the cheap.
Yes.
The Knicks got him on the cheap.
Yes. Like he's playing crazy. So now the contract's like, oh, you're not overpaid at all, bro. Now you need to get paid more money because you are playing at a great level right now.
Right.
Thoughts on Rich Jefferson equating? Oh, my bad. I want to touch on that too, because that's another thing that gets me mad. Because if Jalen Brunson didn't go to the Knicks, this wouldn't have these conversations about Jalen Brunson wouldn't have happened at all. But thoughts on Richard Jefferson equating Simmons' situation to B. Roy being hurt, not being able to continue playing in the league. I felt that was a nasty take. Been a little kid compared to B. Roy. Not sorry.
Brandon Roy is one of the what if stories. He was one of the better two guards in the game. I'm not, and I think he loved playing basketball. I don't think Ben Simmons loves playing basketball. I don't think he loves the game. And I think that's where the separator is. Even if he is hurt, I mean, he took a whole season last year off for mental issues, which I can appreciate that, and his back, right? So if you're coming back in the season, if you're coming back after being out a whole season, Dub, what you're telling me is you're ready to go. You're telling me that you're ready to go. And if you're not ready to go, don't get out here. And then when you don't perform, say, well, I wasn't ready. I was still hurt. No, you had a whole season. You had a whole off season to get ready. I'm not sure that he loves playing basketball. I think that's the difference between him and Brandon Roy and guys like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. But that's going to conclude today's episode of Chilling with Chill, man. Appreciate all of you guys for joining up. I'm not going to lie. If you say this, I'm not even going to let you finish. I'll mute you immediately. So do you have anything else to say before we head out?
Hey, big up to my man Dub over here, yo. Big up to my man Dub over here. He's the super sub. He was filling in for my boy Big Ox, and he did the damn thing, and I think that we were successful. So yo, take it light, but take it.
Terrible.